Hi, I'm Andy Kemp. I'm a high school science teacher. I'd like to share with you a few tips about how to view the upcoming solar eclipse safely.
The first thing you need to know is it's never safe to look directly at the sun. Your eyes have lenses just like this magnifying glass. Watch what happens when we focus the sun on this piece of paper. Within just a few seconds of bringing the sun's rays into focus on the paper starts to smoke. It actually burns. Now the back of your eye won't burn, but it will cook. And you might get a permanent scar on the back of your eye. If you want to view the solar eclipse safely, you should pick up some solar viewing glasses. I don't recommend getting them from the internet at this point because you might get a counterfeit pair. Let me give you some tips on how to make sure that your solar glasses are legitimate and working properly. The first thing you want to do is open your glasses up and see if they conform to the International Standards Organization requirements for objects that can view the sun. So what you want to do is look for these words or something similar. Conforms to and meets the transmission requirements of ISO 12312-2. Now, you also want to make sure that you follow directions. If you actually read the directions on the solar glasses, you'll see that it says they're not good for more than 3 minutes of continuous viewing. You won't actually wear them during totality, but before and after totality, you need to have your glasses on if you're going to look at the sun. You can pick them up for a few dollars at major retailers like Walmart. The next thing you want to do is a couple of tests. You can take your glasses and put them over a bright light, such as the light on a phone, and you should be able to see the light only very, very dimly through the lens, even if you put it very, very close. If you see more than a very dim light, then you don't have a good pair of glasses. Go and get another pair. Solar viewing glasses are made to be over 1,000 times darker than regular sunglasses. If you look through these sunglasses, you can see the yard and the house and even the sky, especially the sun. But if you put on a pair of solar viewing glasses, basically the only thing you should be able to see is the sun. Looking through here, it's dark, it's dark, it's dark, and then you can dimly see the sun through the lens. That's a good pair of glasses. Before you put your solar viewing glasses on, make sure to inspect them. You don't want any tears or holes, folds, or dirt. If you find something wrong, get another pair. You should probably bring more than one pair with you. Look down to put them on, then up at the sun, and then when you're going to take them off, look down again. You don't want to look up at the sky at any point. If you find that you need to clean your glasses, use a soft cloth. You don't want to use anything wet because that will ruin the cardboard, which in turn may loosen the lens. If you're lucky enough to be in the path of totality, you don't need your glasses during totality itself. But even when the diamond ring effect is appearing, you still need your glasses. So just before and just after totality, you must wear glasses. If you are anywhere outside the path of totality, you must wear glasses if you're going to look at the sun directly. Super important that you don't look at the sun with anything that can magnify its effects. You don't want to look through binoculars or telescope or even the lens finder of your camera, unless you have some sort of solar filter in place, something that is ISO 12312-2 approved. Here, for example, I have a pair of solar viewing binoculars. They have a special coating very similar to solar viewing panels on your glasses. They are ISO 12312-2 approved, but I got these well in advance of the event. I doubt you could order anything like this at the last minute and actually trust it. I know you're going to be tempted to take pictures with your cell phone. I don't recommend this for several reasons. For one thing, you have to look up at the sun, which is very dangerous. For another thing, unless you are an expert, you're probably going to get lousy pictures, like this one. Look at these pictures that I made with my camera during the 2017 event.
It's getting dimmer, getting darker. Any second now.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, there we go. All right, look at it get dark. All right, awesome. All right.
Although you hear me enthusiastically exclaim, "Look at it get dark," your cell phone is actually very good at taking pictures in dim light, so it did not look anything at all like it's shown in this video. It was very dark. Your camera really doesn't make good pictures of the eclipse event unless you know what you're doing or you have the appropriate apps. Make sure you practice ahead of time. It is possible to view the sun indirectly. If you're handy with tools, this might be something that you could try. I got this funnel at a car parts store, and I covered it with this is actually the material that they use for rear view projection screens, but I bet you could probably just use a sheet of paper as long as you didn't have wrinkles in it. And look at that projection. I just hooked it up to the eyepiece of my telescope. It's very simple. It has duct tape, something stretched over the funnel, and the funnel itself. And I also have a little clamp that I can use to clamp it onto the eyepiece, not shown in this picture. And by the way, those dark spots that you see in the middle of the projection are sunspots. So this little device is handy to have all year long. Another option is to make yourself a pinhole viewer. All you need is a box and a few other supplies, like maybe a toothpick or a pen or a paper clip to poke a hole, some scissors, some tape, and some aluminum foil. All you have to do is cut a hole out of one corner of the box that you're going to look through, a bigger hole on the other edge of that same side, cover that with aluminum foil, and then poke one or two small holes in the foil. And again, if you practice with this, you can get the right size hole. It's good to project onto something white, so just put a white piece of paper on the other side away from the eye hole, and then just cover it up with the top. Now you take it outside, look through one bottom corner, and through the pinhole, you will see projections of the sun. Another thing that you can do is just get a sheet of cardboard and cut a hole out of it. You can use something like a toilet paper tube and make a pretty big round hole if you want, or you can make smaller hole. But all you're going to do with this is now cut the hole and then hold it up over a piece of cardboard. Again, if you put a sheet of paper on the cardboard, it'll project a little bit better. But if you make the hole rather nice and smooth, then you'll get a nice smooth image of the sun projected onto the sheet of paper. Something cool that happens when the sun gets about, say, 85, 90% covered by the moon is that you get these projections of the sun cast down when you have, say, little openings like through the leaves. So you see these crescent-shaped, I guess you'd call them shadows, these projections, and they're really, really cool. You can make your own if you're not around any trees, just by crossing your fingers. So put one hand over the other and adjust, and you can cast some really neat looking shadows and projections onto a sheet of paper. Let me give you some other safety tips. You're going to be out in the sun, so you need to apply sunscreen. Also, since you're going to be outdoors, please dress appropriately. You might need long sleeves or a jacket or maybe a hat. If you're going to have to travel, then you need to plan accordingly. You need a first aid kit, some sort of shelter probably, a little pop-up tent of some sort perhaps, some seats, and you will probably need something to do because if you're like me, you'll get there early and you'll have a couple of hours in which you need some entertainment. Don't forget your food and drink. Lots and lots of fluids since you're going to be outside in the sun. So make sure that you pack that cooler and take it along with you. Now, if it has been rainy at all where you're headed, then you might also consider a ground covering, a tarp of some sort. And not to be crude, but you may want to take your own supply of toilet paper.
Let me give you just a few more tips that may make the difference in whether or not you have a good experience. First, you've got to plan ahead. Where you are or where you are planning to be may be cloudy. You might need to change your plans and go somewhere different. So you should go ahead and plan ahead for a secondary destination. Back in 2017, I was planning on going to Illinois. But when I woke up that morning, I realized that there was a good chance of clouds. And so instead, I went to Tennessee. Had a great experience. When planning your destination, you're likely to rely on an app, a map app of some sort, like Google Maps or Safari. But you know, on the day that you travel, there are going to be so many people in the path of totality that the internet system may be overwhelmed. And so let me recommend that you stop at rest stops and pick up local maps, just in case. You never know. Those paper maps may come in especially handy on your trip home. Back in 2017, it took me about 2 hours to get to my destination to see the solar eclipse, but it took me over 5 hours to get home because the roads were so crowded. Please plan ahead. One thing that happened in 2017 at the park that I went to is the street lights came on. While that was kind of cool, it also created a light that maybe interfered a little bit with my enjoyment of totality. So you may want to think about that too. Where do you want to go and how close to lights do you want to be? Speaking of light, you're going to be outside, and you know when you're outside that your retinas, the back of your eye, can be fatigued. And so when you walk indoors on a sunny day, you may notice it's kind of dim. It's kind of hard to see at first, and then your eyes will adjust later. Well, you don't want that to happen during totality. The totality event only lasts a few minutes, and so your eyes really don't have time to recover from fatigue. So let me recommend that you wear sunglasses the whole time that you're outdoors, even when you're in the shade. And I know this might seem kind of crazy, but personally, I am going to wear an eye patch over one of my eyes, just like a pirate. And when totality breaks out, I'm going to remove that patch and I'll be able to see very, very well. I'm going to see that event if it's the last thing I do. Now, speaking of the internet, there's some really good apps out there. I don't know if they're going to be working where you are. You may not have internet connection, but you may want to consider getting some of these apps that not only show you locations, but give you timing and give you tips on photography if that's really what you want to do. Just be aware that anything that you're doing, looking down at your phone during the event, you're missing the eclipse. So I really don't recommend it. I plan on just sitting there and watching it personally. If you do get apps, make sure that you familiarize yourself with them ahead of time. You don't want to be playing with them while the event is occurring. I mentioned this earlier. You should probably pick up more than one pair of solar viewing glasses. If one of yours is damaged, you'll have a replacement. If someone around you needs a pair, you'll have a pair to lend. And that actually brings up another good tip. Don't just be responsible for yourself, but for the safety of those around you. So if you see somebody that's not using good viewing habits, say something. You're really doing them a favor. And last but not least, it really is an event that's best shared with others. When you hear the rest of the crowd oohing and awing and just exclaiming their awe, it's really makes you feel special. The event itself is special. I mean, it makes you realize that you live on a little speck of dirt in space, but when you share it with other human beings, that just makes it all that much better. Please enjoy the eclipse, but enjoy it safely. Share this video with others. Thank you very much.
Venus is shining over there.
Oh, it's ending. It's ending, Dad.
People looking at it, it's getting the diamond ring effect now. Starting to get just a little bit lighter. Look at it getting brighter now. Amazing. Amazing.